Cutter Top 10, Cutter Top 10. You know you liked it a lot. Time to see who is the best and the worst that's left. You know, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, NASCAR, wrestling. If I have to, so please join me. Why don't you read? This is Cutter's Top 10. Hey there, Heather, ho there! It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. We're ready to rumble! Oh. Hey there, Heather, ho there! It's Jeff Cutter Diamond with another Top 10. And this time it's the Top 10 worst NHL teams of all freaking time. So here we go. Number 10, the 1984 Penguins. The Penguins were a pretty bad team. They nearly went bankrupt twice in the 1970s, and then they got the #1 overall pick in '84, winning the Mario Lemieux lottery. It was actually revealed years later, after 1984, that Coach Lou Angotti told people that the Pens actually sabotaged their own games to ensure they got the first-round pick, such as starting an unknown goalie by the name of Roberto Romano and Vincent Tremblay from the Miners, so that they would end up with fewer points than the New Jersey Devils, who also were chasing at that time. The Devils did get Kirk Muller, which is not that bad. Mike Blur got 51 goals for the '84 Penguins, amazingly. Number 9, the 1951 Blackhawks. It's amazing about the Blackhawks. Like, in the past 10, 15 years, they've been solid. And then all of a sudden there was a crappy time in the 1940s and 50s that they just couldn't get anything get out the schneid. In 1951, they had actually only won 13 of a possible 70 games. The leading point scorer was 50 points by Roy Conacher. They actually started off 7-3-2, but only won 6 games after that run. The Blackhawks finished 26 points out of the playoffs that year. And that was when Al Rollins, or was it 1954? Excuse me, I goofed up. I was going to say, well, that's the year Al Rollins won the Hart Trophy, but I believe that was 1954. Number 8, the 2000 Atlanta Thrashers, the inaugural Atlanta Thrashers, who are now called the Winnipeg Jets. Their first season in 2000 had some lousy results, even though they got Damian Rhodes in net, who was a pretty good goalie. The Thrashers only won 14 of their 82 games, with 5 wins on the road. Atlanta only got 170 goals in 82 games, just over 2 plus a game. Andrew Burnett led the team with 23 goals. Atlanta got 39 points, which were 15 behind the Tampa Bay Lightning, who also didn't win 20 games. Atlanta did end up getting the #1 pick, and I believe it was Ilya Kovalchuk. Yes, it had to be, because Patrick Staffan was their 99 draft pick. But 1929, again, the number 18 on the list is again a Chicago Blackhawks team. The 1929 Chicago Blackhawks, to be sure. We go back to another Chicago Blackhawks season. And the Blackhawks in 28-29 had, by their 3rd season, there were only 5 teams in the American division. And the Blackhawks were terrible. 7-29-8. Only 22 of a possible 22 points in a 44 game schedule. Can you imagine? They play 2 games per point. Got it. Anyway, the Blackhawks actually came close in the division, but they only lost by 2. The second worst team in the American division had 9 wins that year. That was the Pittsburgh Pirates. Anyway, the saddest part is that they only scored 33 goals in the 44 game season. Dick Irvin Sr. was the leader of the team in points, and he quit. Now, of course, this was the year that there were many shutouts by George Hainsworth. And in 1929-30, they decided to change a new law saying that forward passing was legal in all 3 zones. Number 7 on the list. Oh, I'm sorry. The Blackhawks was number 7. Why did I say number 7? number 8, excuse me. Number 6, the 1973 New York Islanders. The inaugural season of the Islanders. Gordie Howe actually could have been the head coach of the Islanders. I had no clue about that. The Islanders got blown out time after time, scoring only 170 times, whereas they gave up twice as much. And Billy Smith played for that team, and we all know Billy Smith for his playoff performances in the 1980s. It's amazing. They only got 30 points, and they were 58. Yes, 58 points out of a playoff spot. Weird enough. Now, the fact of the matter is that they actually did beat Boston, in memory serves me right, 9-7 or something like that. Ed Westfall got like a 5-point night. But anyway, it did help the Islanders because they got Dennis Potvin in the draft, and they built it around the draft. Number 5, the 1944 Rangers. Pathetic. But of course, World War II had something to do with it because many stars from all 6 teams were hit, but the Rangers were hit the hardest. The Canadiens were not hit that hard because of the French war theme. So anyway, the Rangers only got 17 points, winning 6 and tying 5 in their 50 games. The first 2 months and the last 2 months combined, the Rangers had 5 points, all ties. And remember, this was the first season the second season that they decided to do away with overtime because of the war effort. Strangely, after the war, they didn't reinstate regular season overtime until 1983. Strange enough. Brian Hextall, the hero of the 1940 Rangers Stanley Cup parade, got 54 points to lead all scorers for the Rangers. And Ken Tubby McCauley, and that is his real nickname, Tubby, was just terrible. Worse than Steve, the Puck-Goes-Inski 2 years earlier. Number 4, the 1981 Jets. This was amazing. Expansion teams had it pretty rough in the day. But the Jets, this was not their first season. It was their second season. Their first season, they actually ended up... If you read Don Cherry's book, Grapes, it was that the Jets were trying to lose on purpose to get the number 1 draft pick in 1980. But because of Colorado's atrocious goaltending, i.e. Hardy Astrom, Winnipeg won that game. Colorado did have the number 1 pick, but they traded their first round pick to Montreal for a couple of unknown players. So basically, the Montreal Canadiens had the pick and picked Doc Wickenheiser. And we all know that the Habs could have had Denny Savard, and they failed. Chicago picked Denny Savard with the 3rd pick. Winnipeg, I believe, it was Morris Lukowicz, if memory serves me correctly. But anyway, 1981, the Jets had 3 coaches and only won 9 games to go along with 57 losses and 14 ties. 80 games, they only got a total of 32 points. And they started the season with 1 win, 25 losses, and 7 ties. Amazing. And of course, there was no overtime back then. You gotta remember that. Of course, the Jets had their financial issues, went to Phoenix before they got Atlanta's franchise. So poor Winnipeg. But they did get Dale Hawerchuk in the draft, if that's one good thing. Number 3, the 1993 Sharks. Their second season, the Sharks were futile, very futile. 11 wins, 71 losses, and pair of ties for 24 points in an 84-game season. 71 losses, the most in a season, and the most consecutive losses was 17. They got 218 goals and gave up 414. The Sharks, for all their terribleness, were not the worst team that year. Speaking of, number 2, the 1993 Ottawa Senators. Yes, I hate the Ottawa Senators. We all know I hate the Ottawa Senators. This was their inaugural season, and this team looked good. They actually had fewer wins than the Sharks with only 10. And thanks to their ties, they avoided having the most losses ever. They actually finished with 1 fewer loss than the Sharks. They had 70 losses, the Sharks had 71. But the fact of the matter was that Ottawa, near the end of the season, admitted they actually tanked to get Alex Daigle. Oh boy. How they know their lesson. I believe, let's see, who did San Jose get? I think it was Ray, no, it wasn't Ray Whitney. I forget who San Jose got in that 93 season, because I know Paul Correa went to the Ducks and Florida got Rob Niedermeyer. I don't know, I can't remember. Oh no, I think they gave their second pick to Hartford because I know Chris Pronger, I think San Jose traded their pick to Hartford, and Chris Pronger was drafted second. But as is, The Senators on the road only won one game on the road, 141 and love. On the road. Amazingly. They only gave up 395 goals. The Sharks gave up more, but they only scored 202 on their own person. What's weird is that the Senators, in their first ever game, beat the eventual Cup champs Montreal 5-3, and I have that game on my computer. Just amazing. Just amazing. And in fact, they weren't the worst. But number one is the 75 Capitals, the expansion Capitals. Not like, man, 40 plus years later, they're playing like they're going to chase the records for most wins and most points in a season. They might do it too. The worst team ever played were the inaugural Caps in 75. The trouble was that, well, they won 8 out of a possible 80 games with 67 losses and 5 ties for 21 points. It was the goal differential that did them in. And man, did they. They only scored 181 goals in the season and gave up 446. That's way more than double. That's close to 2.5 goals given up for each goal they scored. The best goalie was Michel Bellemare, who had a .536 goals against average, and he never won a game with the Capitals. He was 0-26 and something, 2 with them. He never won a game with the Capitals. Capitals dropped 12-1, and they had a memorable victory over the Oakland Seals in California, and they paraded a garbage can around like they won the Stanley Cup, which was amazing. So anyway, those are the worst of the worst. And you're thinking of the 1985 Leafs or the 2016 Leafs. They can't be that bad. Yeah, right. At least they have dignity somehow. Good night.